You're a regular person. Your country goes to war. You don't want to fight, but you're drafted. You end up in war on the battlefield. A little bit of smoke and haze. Your enemy comes racing towards you. What do? What if you're wounded? The Red Cross comes to save you, but they kill that nurse who was trying to help you. It's a shame they don't follow the Geneva Convention. You're now a POW, prisoner of war. They treat you unfairly. War crimes. How do you get your justice? Join us. We're going to talk about the Geneva Convention. So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. Nick was mildly amused by that one. I mean, I could have went straight to, like, any number of war atrocities, but I wanted to make it personal.
Mm-hmm.
A war you don't want to fight in, rules that you have to follow, that others might not follow. How do you even know? How do you distinguish between hostages?
There was a Red Cross nurse.
Oh, yeah?
And she was murdered in front of you?
Yeah.
Is this fancy?
Blood, gore. You know, there's a lot of, like, tropes. Like, all the tropes that you see in war. Like, the enemy always does the things that are, like, so...
The bad.
Yeah,
They're the bad guys.
Yeah, they're evil. They kill the hostages. There's no surrender. There's people just beating, murdering, and torturing, and all those bad things. So, let's talk about what prevents civil countries from doing those things. The Geneva Convention.
Thank you. Jump right to it. I didn't think we'd be this lucky here today.
Yeah, straight to it.
We're talking about the Geneva Conventions. Not just one of them, folks. You're in luck.
Yeah, so about, like, why? Like, I guess if you're back in the olden days, which is probably like the 1800s, 1900s, you're battling and it's like a courtesy, like the way you battle. It's kind of like you show up, you're like, hey, here's my army. I see your army. You want to make a deal? Because my army's bigger. It's bigger. You want to, sure? So, like, people, if they don't come to negotiations, they charge at each other, and then they just, they're duking it out with, like, swords and shields and horses and stuff.
It's hand to hand. If you think of how the British fought.
In lines?
You remember they'd have, like, in lines, and then, like, some of them would go low and shoot, the other ones go high and shoot, and while the other one was reloading their muskets, etc. And you would never be allowed to break ranks. You just stood in a line and just shot at the other people who were standing in a line.
You waited for it.
And then those damn dirty Americans started fighting from the bushes.
Guerrilla-style.
Oh, ambushing people. Terrible stuff, really. Very without scruple.
Scrupulous.
Terrible. Unscrupulous.
Yeah.
Terrible. Awful people.
Scruples are what? Moral high ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're unscrupulous, you're not without
morals.
Yeah, unscrupulous. So it's a difficult thing. If you're attacking an enemy that hasn't signed on to the Geneva Convention or isn't a part of the country that you're actually fighting, you have to determine whether they're a part of the, like, nationalized army, which adheres to it, or they're a guerrilla, or they're just on their own freelance war. I don't know.
Their own faction.
Mm-hmm.
Unaccounted for by anyone.
Mercenaries. Right. So how did it all start?
Henry Dunant, my man.
Henri Dunant.
Is that how you pronounce it?
That's how some podcasters were pronouncing it, but then they pronounced something else wrong, and I was like, I don't know if I trust you guys, but you're okay.
Well, let's go with Henri Dunant.
Yeah, since we're both French majors, right?
Yeah,
in high
French
school.
French major.
Majore. Ah.
It sounded super Italian.
It did. Romance languages, they're so similar.
They're the exact same. You could say anything in French, Spanish, Italian, it doesn't matter.
We all understand you. American.
So the Battle of Solferino, huh?
Yeah, Solferino.
1859-ish?
Was that? I didn't write down the date.
I did. I like to be thorough with my notes for this kind of an episode. And he was so aghast at the atrocities happening to the wounded, especially.
Yeah.
The sick, the wounded. There was no shelters for them. There was nowhere they could go. If you were just missing a leg, you would just bleed out on the streets. It sounded like a pretty awful thing. And he started getting together some ideas with some friends of his, right?
Yeah.
How it goes?
It's because it's like war started to take in more and more civilian casualties. And all of these casualties would just be laying about. And they said that the local town had something around 100 doctors. So the 100 doctors couldn't take care of the wounded, and there's nobody to go out there and help them.
Right. I mean, at that point, what do you do? You cry. You cry and you cry and you cry.
Yeah.
As loud as you can.
That
from
must
the
be
other room.
Yeah, it's what did I write down? Smoke, screams, confusion. So all these people are probably on the battlefield just oh, help me. And then there's probably hundreds and thousands of them. And then the people who are supporting them are the people that are locally sourced from the hospitals. If you have nurses going out and helping people and bringing them back, that's an effort.
So we fast forwarded to the first ever convention, 1864. It was based primarily on a lot of stuff Henri Dunant brought up about keeping solace and protection and resources for the sick and wounded during war.
Yeah.
This actually also, oddly enough, applied to medical equipment. Did you know that?
That they're not allowed to destroy it? And they have to, I don't know if they necessarily have to have it on hand, but they have to be able to use it.
No, they're not allowed to destroy it. I thought that was kind of cool.
I was leaning towards, if you have, your own nationality there wounded and the other nationality wounded, you're not allowed to treat them as anything different if you're a doctor.
Wait, so you had to treat German soldier different, same as an American soldier if they were both wounded?
I think there's a wink here that you're supposed to I would take care of the American soldier and then the German soldier when I had time. As soon as I had time, I'd take care of them. I don't know that a doctor abides by the standard logic of you and I. Since we're not altruistic, we're just fuck those people. I would feel bad.
Aren't most doctors like that?
Yeah, they're trying to help everybody. And that's the way it should be. They should be absolved from acting in war as a warrior. It should be, you have the healer class, and they come and save you, and they're immune to bullets and splash damage and all that sort of stuff.
Have mercy.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. So, did you have the timeline of all these Geneva Conventions?
I could run through them.
4 of them.
There's
if you could just run from them, there's 4 of them, right?
Well, there's a Hague Convention of 1899. So that was the first initial thing kicked off. And then the first Geneva Convention was in 1864, which I guess before that. Yeah, you mentioned that. And then it starts to get weird because technology changes. So you start to have bullets and tanks and airplanes and bombs, shrapnel, all sorts of crazy stuff that just causes essentially mass murder because you're now killing in swaths.
It's not aimed at a soldier. It's just aimed at an area.
Yeah.
A lot of these.
It used to be that you were out in the field battling people, and now it's there's battles going on in cities, and then you're just bombing cities. Whole cities are being decimated, so you can't have that. So Geneva Convention number 2, 1949. And then the third
that
one.
long to get to number 2. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. I'm just double checking.
That's fine. Then there was a 3 and a 4. Is that all of them?
Yeah, they started adapting various ones. And then there's articles on how to deal with various things, adding in like naval warships versus like civilian ships versus medical ships.
Maritime law, because apparently maritime soldiers weren't subject to this.
It's kind of a strange thing.
Yeah, that they weren't, but I guess there aren't rules for the sea. It's a very political approach to all this too. Like it's very humanitarian, but it's very political. It's like, hey, we don't have rules in the water, so we can't have rules. You know what I mean? It's like, whose laws are we listening to? It's where a bunch of countries get together, which always makes things messy.
Yeah. So
within a country, you have rules. Like there's a governing body. Between countries, there's no clear-cut leader. Like, does Congress outweigh the mayor of a different country? Like, I don't know. How about does Congress outweigh the president of a different country? What if that country sucks? What if the country's really small? What if the country's really big? Does the president of a really small country overrule the mayor of a really, really large country, but like it's a pretty shitty city, like Cincinnati? Like, you know what I mean? No one knows who holds the power in that situation.
But that's right? If you go into like African countries and you have all these kind of like rival rebel groups.
Tribes.
Yeah, they didn't sign up to the convention, so they're not going to follow it. The rule is, though, if you go into a conflict with those types of people, if you're part of the Geneva Convention, you wait and see what they do. Like, if they act on you unconventionally, then you're allowed to do whatever the hell you want. Okay. But you have to wait for them to do something like egregious. And the very first one was for, like I mentioned, like medical personnel, and also for like priests. There's also the this is really closely tied to the Red Cross. So it was important for them to have like a symbol, like the Red Cross, literally a symbol that everyone wore to say like you're not allowed to attack a medical tent, hospital, or people in the field wearing this symbol, because everyone else, they didn't have uniform symbols back then, so you couldn't tell whether they were a warrior or a doctor or whatever, priest.
No, it's very tied to the symbol. You're absolutely correct. I read that multiple times in my research. Right now, do we have 195 countries signed in the Geneva Con?
I think it is close to that. I don't have the hold on. 196 is what the 1949 Geneva Conventions. 196 countries.
Huh, another country heard from. Amazing.
How many total countries are there in the world, Nick?
207.
I thought that was bones in the human body. It was 206?
204 or something like that. Yeah.
Wait, we have two. There are 195 countries in the world today. What was I? Wait a second. Question mark. What did I just say? That can't be right.
That means we have one more country that's in the Geneva convention.
There's no way. All of them signed up? I have to fact check this on the fly.
Oh, please do. Now, because you know why? Because I said we have 197 countries. I was within 2? Oh, I'm so smart.
I guess
the number of countries changes like every week, doesn't it? Maybe once you become ratified as a country and I
wonder if they're counting like countries that don't exist anymore. It's like they signed up, but we killed them. They're destroyed.
Type deal.
Yeah, or Yugoslavia, Ukraine. One of those countries is now Russian, right? And then bones in the human body. I think it was 206.
I think it's 201.
206.
Damn it. So there are more bones than countries, huh?
Yeah.
Imagine that, folks. You just learned something pretty fascinating today. Thanks for joining the Unpanders. Join us next week when we talk about
mandibles.
Mandibles? Like the things ants have?
Yeah. Well, we have mandibles too. It's part of our jaw.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is technically.
Yeah.
That's weird.
We're so similar.
It's like my maxillary mandible. So, did you know there are 9 weapons as of currently banned?
Oh, yeah. I know one of them. It's hollow point bullets.
That's correct.
Undue harm, like excessive damage to people, is not allowed. I would assume, like, I don't know this for sure. I would assume, like, napalm Is that banned?
It is.
Okay.
Incendiary.
And why? So let's talk about that for like Vietnam really quickly, because it seems absurd that we did this to, like, we did several things in Vietnam that didn't make. When did we sign? Like, do we break the rules? I think we did, but yeah, I guess they were guerrilla warfare. So it's like once it's like all.
So we were probably saying that we had to.
Yeah. So we
protect our men.
Yeah, we napalmed forests. We also had Agent Orange, like a chemical warfare that defoliated and caused cancer. Yeah.
We definitely use cluster bombs.
Yeah. And then also, I think we use like silver nitrate, and that is for like cloud cover. So like if you hit cloud cover with silver nitrate, it causes rain. So it would cause like excessive monsoons in certain areas of Vietnam to make it so they couldn't farm, or if they were hiding, they'd become like gangrenous.
Wet.
Gangrenous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because wet.
I'm like, the worst. You couldn't warm up. It's like I'm soaking wet. Yeah. I had to come out.
Silver nitrate is the essence of wetness.
And wetness is the essence of beauty.
Yeah. And war, apparently. But right. Yeah, like you.
I'll go through them.
Go ahead.
Poison gas, defined as anything from blood agents, anything that would adhere directly to your blood, make you die, usually of respiratory problems. Blister agents, they're the ones like
blister, like as in like causes blisters in the skin.
Correct.
Mustard gas,
it hits your mucus. Yeah, there you go. Mucous membranes is where that bad boy gets in.
Okay.
Nerve agents. If you've seen The Rock, CX gas is a nerve agent.
What's the Russian nerve agent that they just used on that British guy? Actually, I think they keep using it on people.
I'm pretty sure they do too.
I'm gonna keep going.
Sure. Nettle agents, which I wrote down at one point but didn't.
Nettle?
Continue? Yeah, they're called nettle agents. And then choking agents, which just essentially stop you from being able to breathe entirely. They're all alloyed. That's under poison gas. A lot of poison gases in there.
Novichok is what the Russians are using on people.
Oh, I didn't know.
I read that if you use it on somebody, like the contact, like if medical personnel, I guess that's why it's illegal, is if medical personnel go to help that person and the nerve agent is on their body, like the physical contact can then kill the medical personnel trying to help that person. So it's like, it's
makes sense.
Other than being something that's banned, it's also twofold, yeah. You got it.
Right.
You're quick, Nick.
Damn.
It's a quick Nick.
2, this one's crazy. Non-detectable fragments.
Is that hollow points? Like you can't get the...
No. If you have some kind of really hard to find clear plastic resin that you explode into people,
you can't get that out? Oh.
Exactly. Do you know why? Technicians can't even use x-rays to remove it from your body. They have to search with their hands and fingers.
That's so bizarre that I never thought about that.
Neither did I.
It's like if you shot into like a piece of ribeye, you'd have to like feel out the plastic shrapnel. That's impossible. Yeah. It's like you're going to die. Like you would rip apart the person trying to get the shrapnel out.
Yeah. So you're not allowed to use that stuff. Landmines are a super big, super illegal one.
Really? No landmines anymore?
Yeah, no, they were out. Well, probably when we and other people were using them, because no one knows where they are when they don't go off after like 5 years. Like, do you know what I mean?
What's the one they use in Afghanistan? The ones that are buried. Oh, there's a name for them. There's like a 3-letter. Well, Claymores are cool, but it's Call of Duty. But but no, there's like everyone. Is IR not IRD? IR is it IRD?
Oh, RDI, IRD. It might be IRD.
I don't know if it's IRD.
IED?
IED. There you go. Which stands for
explosionary device. Incendiary explosive device.
Improvised explosive device. IED.
So close.
Yeah, it's close.
Very illegal. The other one is, have you ever seen a commercial for landmines?
Commercial for landmines?
Oh, it's so good if you Google it. It's such a good time. It's like,
I'm picturing the wrong type, like someone enjoying a beer, like a very beautiful saturated sky.
Good. It's a mom and a dad, and it looks like it's a commercial for a minivan, and it's a British commercial, and they're like white, suburby. They totally have money, and their little daughter is like 7 or 8, and she's playing soccer. And they're like, go, 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 Sarah, go, Sarah, go, Sarah. And the dad's like, Sarah, I told you to hurry up. Oh, get it, get it, get it. So then all the kids are running back and forth, and it's just like the stupidest commercial, and it's like a feel-good commercial. And then the little girl scores, and the mom and dad high five or something, and they're like, it's like you figure this is the end of the commercial. It flips back to the kids all on the soccer field, and she's jumping up and down like this, and all of a sudden there's a real explosion, and everyone's screaming, and no one knows what's going on, and the mom's saying, Sarah, Sarah. And she's screaming, and the dad's like, where's my daughter? And people are going nuts, and everyone's running, and it's like a panic. And then it says, you wouldn't want landmines in your area. And I'm like, oh, that commercial just went hard. Like, it's such a good commercial. You got to see it. It's like,
holy shit.
When I saw it with Tommy the Fox Flowers, I could not stop laughing because I couldn't believe it was a real commercial.
That's unbelievable. That they would play a whole soccer game and be able to score before the landmine went off.
Exactly. Oh, were these kids tiptoeing around the right spot, you know?
Yeah.
Crash the crease, kids.
I can't believe that is a real commercial. I thought you made that up on the spot.
No, it's a real commercial. It's very good.
Wow.
So landmines are illegal. Incendiary weapons like napalm, et cetera, et cetera. Blinding laser weapons.
That just seems that seems fair use. If you can blind somebody with a laser, you can't. Can you use flashbangs?
Anything that causes is intended to cause permanent blindness is illegal by the Geneva Convention.
Permanent. That's part of it. Is that if you are excessively damaging somebody so they cannot return to civil life in a normal capacity, that's against the Geneva Convention in a lot of ways.
Makes sense to me. I think it's a terrible idea. You touched on hollow points. That's the expanding ordinance. Anything that's supposed to go into a human body and then cause more damage, whether through expanding or, because that's what hollow points do. They hit and then they expand.
And they spread everywhere. And so it's hard to get out. Shrapnel everywhere, essentially.
Poison bullets. I was like, whoa, cool. Like something out of like a DC comic.
So like bows and arrows that are tipped with like that frog juice that's poisonous, that doesn't work? Like, what if that's the only weapon you have? It's like, this is how we kill people here. You don't understand. I'm not going to sign this convention. Because I can't.
Cluster bombs and biological weapons, which we've touched on.
So you want to hear about like a crazy biological weapon?
Yeah, let's hear. You got a few.
So I have one particularly. So there was like the Black Plague. Yersinia pestis, right? Right? Yeah. So they would take POWs. I think this is part of a Japanese-Chinese war. They would take POWs and then they would add fleas with the plague. So the fleas would then breed and multiply because of the POWs, prisoner of war, suffering. And then they would gather up the fleas, put them in like a tossable grenade that they would then launch over to the other country and release plague as fleas into like the major cities.
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked. It's plague. You can't stop the plague.
Yeah, but it didn't wipe out like
can't stop the plague.
Can't stop the plague. A steady upper status. I forget the name of the damn
You're sick asbestos. Can't stop the plague. Yeah, that's brutal though, because you're using their own warriors, their soldiers, as like a means of a breeding ground. Shit. And then tossing the fleas over to that side, and that's
like just tossing a whole bunch of ice cubes into a drink at once. It's terrible.
Yeah, all the collateral damage. What was the next thing on the list?
Right, biological weapons? I don't know.
I just blanked on it.
What's Assad doing right now? Isn't he using nerve agents or nerve gas or poison gas or mustard gas or some kind of gas?
Define Assad is the ruler of Syria?
Whatever it's called. Yeah. Assad chemical weapons. I forget the name of it. It's
Bashar al-Assad is a Syrian politician,
my man.
President since 2000. Oh, you can be a president for 18 years. That's interesting. Good job, Syria. I'm sure that's a good idea.
Just got political.
What about Ergodan? Or I always say his name wrong.
Yes. No, you always do say his name wrong. But I was just going with what chemical agents he was using recently.
Oh, they use that they don't like the Shiites or the Shia. They're against one of those tribal people that are religiously based. They keep hitting them with that. I want to say it's not mustard gas, but it's like sounds reminds me of mustard gas.
Right, and that's what I was trying to hope that you found. But I didn't.
Oh, I'm sure you can keep hoping though. Keep hoping.
I'm keeping hope alive. That's the Crystal Method song. I haven't listened to Crystal Method in a long time. I need to. Keep hope alive.
Keep watching my
from the
eyebrows.
movie Blade.
What about Blade?
The movie Blade.
Frost.
There's a couple.
That was
songs in there.
Oh yeah, that was like the. They have that rave in the meat packing plant.
Yeah.
Factory
blood
thing
coming from the ceiling.
And they're all dancing. They're all dancing around, just like
yeah.
It was like that was when techno was like really at its peak. I feel.
Well, that's a good question. I think actually my shirt, which I usually use to talk about drum and bass, my favorite two things. I think there's like a drum and bass like house group called Drum and Bass. So I think that's what this is. Maybe.
Oh. I also know there's an organism that doesn't care about any of things. It's called the water bear. It's tardigrade. It's going to survive longer than we do.
Not necessarily. How much does each individual tardigrade last?
I thought it was like 100 years. That's total bullshit on my part, but I think so.
I know they, as a species, will survive. I just didn't know if individuals would.
Nice redirect from me not knowing. Oh, look at that. Can survive desiccation, being dried up for up to a century. Rarely longer than a few months. Weird. I guess they can live inertly for a very long time, but their real lifespan...
hibernatory phase.
I guess if you were a tardigrade and you could choose to hibernate, would you? Would you skip ahead?
No.
This is the vanilla sky of the experiment.
Yeah, I know, or the Dan of the experiment, because you're always like, put myself in a robot.
Yeah. I would remove my brain and insert it into a hard metal casing. That sounds fantastic. Can't wait to make love as a robot.
Light up a video card. Yeah. It's going to have some sweet lights.
Ooh.
So here's a real question for you. I couldn't find the exact answer for this. Of the countries involved in the Geneva Convention, they have a sin, I'll call it, called a grave breach. Because you can breach and there are penalties, but if you have something called a grave breach, which is like a super inhumane treatment of life, poison gas, like you're a real bad dude, what do? They smack you on the wrist. They say, "Oh no, we'll kick you out."
I actually don't know what their repercussions of.
I couldn't find it.
That's the whole thing. Is like, don't do this because we're not going to do anything if you do it.
Yeah. This is illegal, so do not do this. And everyone's like, yeah, we all agree. And then what if someone does it? Type that in.
Well, that's like Russia, assassinating people on other countries' soils. Or Turkey doing it to...
You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. What was Khashoggi? Khashoggi was Egyptian, right?
No. Maybe Egyptian.
I think he was Egyptian. The murder of someone on someone else's soil? That seems...
Either way. We did a whole episode. It was very informative.
But it's like the media goes like, oh, no, don't, you can't do that. And then the country's just like, we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to say we talked to them very sternly.
Wasn't it like crossing the UN? Same idea?
Or NATO.
Yeah, or NATO.
Yeah, they threaten these things. They say we're just gonna maybe they'll bomb them. It's the easiest thing. Just throw a few. We got old bombs. We just launch those old bombs.
You better not throw cluster bombs.
Yeah.
Oh no, we perpetuated everything.
Or like nukes. Nukes are also. I kind of skipped ahead though.
It's a no-go, folks. Yeah. You dropped the big one right there.
I guess the point we use nukes, it's kind of like, we need to talk about this, guys, because this can't happen. Just mass kill. We killed so many people. It's so terrible.
Do you think you could do any of the other crimes or use any of the weapons I just mentioned to a country that was just about to eminently launch nukes and everyone would be like, that's cool, it's fine?
How would you prove, like, if you, like, we have missile defense systems now, like the Patriot missiles, I think they can hit other missiles out of the sky. There are various ranges and distances and stuff. But if you could hit, like, a nuke out of the sky that was about to hit your country, then it's like, oh, shit. Like, that other country's
But
gonna
I mean,
be...
what if your only way to do it was to put landmines all over the center where they launched the nuke the day before they were going to launch it? Would that be frowned on? Frowned upon?
Preemptive destruction?
Yeah.
I think that is frowned upon. I think that you have to wait for them to try. And then it's like, whoa, we can retaliate now. Thank you for letting us retaliate. We've been waiting to cheat for a long time.
What if, you know, if they have two people have to have keys at the same time to launch a nuke? It's like a rule. It's in every movie.
Yeah.
The key card's around your neck. You know what I mean?
You got a special code that you memorized.
Yeah. Your whole life. It's like
call the president.
4731189. Yeah, and you got to call the president and you got to turn the button. What if they did all that and then they're getting ready to press the red button and you dropped cluster bombs on them to kill them? Would that be cool? I feel like they'd be like, okay, that was fine.
I feel like you have to get an agreement. Like a lot of the times when the nuke was used, they called up the Allies, and the Allies were like, yeah, you can do that. Feel free.
That's a green. We're giving you a green light.
In our defense, the Japanese like methodology. I'm gonna skip over little pieces. There's like the samurai culture was waiting and ready to like fight and die, and seppuku and all that stuff, where they're like willing to sacrifice themselves for the good of the nation. So like self-sacrifice was like in their blood and their doctrine. So like in order to stop them from doing further self-damage, we kind of had to nuke them, I guess. Sounds terrible, but
no, I see what you're saying. You're not saying that's your argument. You're saying that was America's argument.
Yeah, it's like you could keep having war in the Pacific and millions of people could die, but we just have this nuke thing that we just invented. Let's try this out.
Yeah, we've never actually tried it. It's probably cool.
Yeah, let's try it out twice.
Yeah, is there a war crime we haven't committed?
I don't know, because I was going to go to like Guantanamo. Because like you're not allowed to torture, so they were like, it's a fine legal line. Like these people were terrorists, they're not affiliated with the country. Bring them over here, prisoner of war. You could torture them, right? Because I mean they're not affiliated with a Geneva Convention country. Apparently that's illegal. You're not supposed to torture anybody that's a prisoner of war. Yeah.
What about to save thousands of lives?
Oh, utilitarian, bringing it back. I mean, I'm sure this happens in the shadows, where they're like, wink, wink, whatever else they do, and then they leave the room. They high five, smack each other's butts. And they say, "Woohoo, America!" And then got
how
me.
About this? So let's say you're American, right? Got this guy in Guantanamo. You just need the location of
Jack Bauer,
one guy or one machine that has a whole bunch of things. A little bit Jack Bauer-y. You decide to torture him, right? Knowing full well that if you torture him, someone might find out, authorities may find out, Geneva Convention, all these countries might find out, and your country, America, will literally say, well, we didn't give him those orders. We're really sorry. We're turning him over. But
for the good of the country?
They're actually giving you, no, to whatever country. But this is the thing. What if America said, we know you're doing the right thing. We can't do this. So if you do this, you'll be doing the greatest honor for our country. We're going to deny you when this is over. You can't record this conversation. Like, at that point, what do you do? Because that's a super convoluted, conflicted thing. You're doing the right thing to do the wrong thing. And then your country will say you did the wrong thing.
It's like almost like if you're telling
you did the right thing.
If you're telling like a Navy SEAL to do that, I'm pretty sure they're so patriotic that they will do it.
Exactly.
It's like extracting Osama bin Laden. It's like that was illegal invasion of someone else's country, essentially.
It was.
But you found bin Laden.
Wouldn't you be proud to know you did whatever to stop
SEAL
the
Team
war,
6,
whatever?
baby.
It's weird. We run up against these lines. Another question about lines I have is like country lines. We touched on this in the very beginning. I mean, what constitutes what's a direct order from a country? What's a faction within the country? We have enough strife in our country. Can you imagine a country with less stability?
So like take Venezuela. It's falling apart because I think they're monetary system is just destroyed, and they have a president who's now...
Didn't the guy just declare himself president like a month ago?
And yeah, he's been denounced by all the other countries to say he's not president, this other guy's president, and he's like, no, you guys, this is my country.
It's just like a guy raising it. He's like, I'm president.
I've got the military because I have the food, and they're hungry.
But like, what happens with that? Like, what if one group is attacking another group? Like, who's really the president? Who's in the right there? I have no idea.
It's like whoever has the backing of the biggest power. Isn't this kind of like what happened in the Cuban Missile Crisis? Where like you have a country that's kind of destabilized, and then you're like, I need somebody to help me, and then like America's like, you're with the Russians.
I'll help. And Russia's like, I'll help.
I'm like, oh fuck.
I agree.
It's a tough call because it's like you're trying to negotiate your own power through the use of things that are probably really political savvy, essentially, and awful, like launching missiles on the U.S.
Yeah.
Sphere of influence.
Mm-hmm.
But
did you make a...
Not really a joke.
Okay, I was trying to figure out how that was a joke, and I was like, wow.
I wanted to transition to something else, so I had awkwardly silenced there. So there are some things that actually came about that are kind of interesting that you don't really think about. It's like parachuters. Like if someone is parachuting, you're not allowed to shoot them. It's like, yeah, it's because they're defenseless when they're parachuting.
Really?
Yeah, you have to wait till they land and then you can kill them.
Hold on. What if the parachuter...
He's just like standing there with a knife.
Wait, what if the parachuter is your old best friend who slept with your wife? And your sister. And he's just coming down and right now into your state in like somewhere like 3 yards over.
And his back is to you. You have your gun drawn.
Even he could be facing me. I don't care. Like, is the crime really international Geneva Convention, or is it just like murder if I kill him? And then like even then like crime of passion murder, like the less murder.
Crime of passion in a war zone after years of thinking about it. Premeditation? Maybe.
No, not if you just found out. I mean...
Yeah, just as you're about to parachute out. I slept with your sister and your wife. And then he's like, You're just like, bastard.
What better time to tell your friend? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, my.
And at that point, can you just go down with a knife and cut his parachute?
I would like to see two parachuters try to fight each other. Like if he said that and he's like jumping out and he's like, me too. And he's like, as he goes, it's like, it's on. And then that's air battles.
Is there a movie where two parachuters fight? I feel like there is.
There's gotta be. There's gotta be.
Parachute fight scene. Someone type that in, figure it out. But
somebody.
I could see Neo and Mr. Agent Smith doing it from like the Matrix. You know what I mean? Just giving you the sound effects.
Moonraker apparently had it. I'm watching it now. Once again.
Well, if it happened, it happened.
It looks so terrible.
What year was Moonraker?
He caught up. Oh boy. Let me see. He caught up to them midair. He came in from behind, face right to butthole as he was grabbing him.
Oh, nice. Classic.
What? It looks old. It looks like 70s maybe. No, it can't be 70s.
I was going to say 78. I don't know why.
I think is that being James Bond? Moonraker? Roger Moore, 1979.
Wow. How weird is it? Whatever. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Don't.
I mean, you run into all these questions.
It's like the term, no holds barred. It's like if you don't have a Geneva Convention. If you were to find somebody and if you didn't have any weapons, so like no knives, no guns, and you had to kill them, like it was like necessary that you did whatever you could, how dirty would the battle get? Like like
real nasty.
Eye gouging,
each other out.
nut kicking.
Yeah, there's no rules.
Yeah. I mean, if you got in an orifice, any orifice, I think you'd win. Except the mouth, because they could bite you.
Like, in their ear?
If you got in someone's ear, that would hurt so bad. If you could
With
like go to their,
what?
if you got like you got like your finger like right in their ear.
And giving them a wet willy, and they're like, ah!
You don't know how like that's like got to be a pressure point. Like if you push far enough in, the eardrum has to like pop or hurt. You get it. You
I
would.
don't think your ear's going to accommodate that. It's not stretching like a butthole.
What? How would you how characterize a butthole stretching, Nick?
Have you ever seen a poop that looked bigger than a wiener?
Yes.
And has it come out of your own butt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not investigating other people's poops. Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Wow, look at this. This is
From
something
your
to
own
behold.
butt. Just something to beholden.
Yeah. Huh.
So then my other question becomes, similar to what you just said, if you're fighting for your life, there is no rule.
Yeah.
And honestly,
is anyone going to really hold you accountable?
no, it's for your life. What if a country's fighting for its life? What if a country says, I adhere to the rules of the Geneva Convention. I will not do X, Y, and Z. But then they're up against death for all the people in the country, the death of the country, everything in general. At that point, do they just go like, F it, and then they fight back as dirty as they can just for survival tactics? Because worst case scenario, you win, and then you have to deal with the Geneva Convention's penalties. Who cares?
So this almost
Worst case
happened.
scenario, you lose.
So you lose. Yeah. You actually fed perfectly into what I was talking about. I was thinking about.
Oh.
So if you're Germany, World War II, you lose, and you have all these war crimes that like mass murder, Holocaust, all sorts of things.
Experimentation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about just the war crimes specifically. Gassing people, putting them in furnaces, exterminating people because of their religion, and then like even the medical testing, like twins, like how do they heal? And then they just like lop off a leg, or they have people that are like stuck in water. You ever heard like the water tortures where they just like swim for 6 hours? It's like your body physically degrades in water after like 4 or 5 hours. Like you start to like melt. So like they would put people in water just to see how long they could survive. Or like gas testing. They're like, how effective is this type of mustard gas? They'd give it to them and just see. You'd be like, oh, okay. 9 out of 10 kills pretty quick. Nick is in shock right now.
No. I'm still thinking about the water one. Are you sure
Twins?
about like 6-7 days?
It's not. Well, if you want to like, I've seen pictures of people like dissolved in bathtubs when they died, that killed themselves, and it's like human pudding. It's
Really?
disgusting. Yeah, but no, the human body in water cannot survive longer than like 6 hours or something. It's not long.
Really?
And you're the specific number.
Yeah, because I'm fascinated. I'm thinking it was like 6 or 7 days.
Keep going. Talk about
Obviously not swimming for 6 or 7 days, but like just being in the water for 6 or 7 days. Wow. Anyway, no.
And then surgeries, like test surgeries, exploratory surgeries, no painkillers.
Mm-hmm.
The crazy stuff.
A lot of this covered in the Nuremberg trials.
So the country, Germany, was like, okay, we lost. We're going to hold trials to make these people accountable called, I think they were Leesburg trials.
Leesburg.
And they were like, okay, this guy killed a lot of people. This guy killed, they put him away.
We're giving him 1 year.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast of the main prosecutor who listened to those trials and then started tallying like the number of people killed by the SS, secret. I don't know what the secret, not service, but like the specialty Nazi killers.
Sure.
And like he tallied like there were like over 1 million people killed by the hands of like 26 people.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Christ.
Like per person, the amount of people that those people killed who were innocent civilians, it's absurd. It's like you killed like tens of thousands of people.
Ironically, there's no punishment just enough for that. I mean, You can kill him, you can torture him. It's not enough. He's won.
So that prosecutor went and said, we need to have another trial that is, internationally based. And then I think they only got like maybe 6 or 7 of them to be hanged in the lethal injection or whatever they had at the time. Like actually convicted.
Hung? I don't even remember.
I don't know. I think they were hung.
I feel like one wasn't for some reason. I don't know how my brain's thinking that because I didn't research this today.
If you listen to the one that I listened to, there was one that had like ALS who was like on his deathbed. He died before he actually could be convicted. But the prosecutor was like, no, wheel him in here. He needs to be shown to the public. Like at that point, it's not about exacting justice on the person. It's about setting a precedent that like this can't happen. We can't do this to people.
In
like
future, right? Yeah. Future proofing. What if aliens came down?
They didn't sign that convention, did they?
No, but are we supposed to wait for them to attack us? What if they positioned their ships over the center of a town and shot down a green light that exploded outwards in such a way that didn't make much sense, but just kept engulfing all the buildings in flames? And just boom, 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 boom. And we needed a leader who said we could drop a nuke on their ships, which were shielded. What would the right thing? What would the right thing be?
What was that? Up yours. Fox 10.
Fox 10. This is President 9. Gets in the ship. Mr. President, are you sure you can fly that?
Independence Day.
Yeah, exactly. That speech is so good. But do you think you could rally all of humankind to defeat an alien force, and at that point, the Geneva Convention would be out the window? It wouldn't matter. It would be worth diddly shit.
Do you think you would let the aliens survive on the planet? Like, if you had POWs, what the hell are you going to do with them? Are you going to send them back to wherever they came from? If they're, like, invading your planet? Like, you have to live with them or kill them. It's like, I don't know.
Killed.
I think they're
actually, you could just imprison them until they die. You know what I mean? Like, that would be kind of a...
So my estimate for the water deal, I see they talk about a ship that sunk in 1945. Apparently you can survive 5 days in water.
I told you 6 to 7 days is what I was thinking.
And the reason being is that you're like your
polarity?
Yeah.
Fat soluble?
Yeah, actually kind of. Your skin barrier breaks down and then you can't defend the bacteria that are in the water and also on your skin. So it just becomes part of your body, becomes septic, and you die. Yay! Yay!
Pretty gross.
So my estimate of 6 hours, I think they tested them 6 hours at a time just to see. And I guess they pulled them out and were like, man, not yet. And they put it back in. War crimes. Genocide.
Sorry, I
Rwanda.
just saw something. It was told Rwanda.
Nazis.
That's the worst one, dude. Okay.
You're talking about the future of war, the haziness. Our country is doing a lot of the bad stuff, like drones.
But think of the countries doing it. I mean,
you're targeting terrorist groups that are supposed to be not affiliated with the country, and the country's like, I guess I can't say they are.
Right. Are you going to be like, no, they're mine. They're my guys.
They're part of the convention. It's like, oh.
In a way, bully to them, because, I mean, being a terrorist, hiding behind everything, saying you're not from a country, it kind of bites you in the butt that way.
Yeah, you're, absolving your rights?
I hate to... Right.
Yeah. The thing that becomes very hazy is when you accidentally kill civilians in the process. Like the whole, there's a terrorist at this wedding and we drone bombed the wedding and killed the terrorist, but also like his bride's people, groom's people. Not to be sexist or anyway. But yeah, like the civilians, they could be claimed as part of the country, right? Collateral damage.
So.
Is that fair? Affiliates? I guess you could define them as affiliates of the terrorists. So you.
And what if you fled Russia to one of these countries and you became a civilian like 2 weeks ago? Is it the same thing?
It's a tough call.
It's kind of not.
Depends what country bombs them, I guess.
A lot of questions.
Yeah. I think we covered it pretty well. I would also like to say
the Nuremberg trials. We talked about Henri Dunant.
He actually, do you know he
won the Nobel Prize in 1901.
Nobel Peace Prize, yeah. And then
he
lived a very poor life. I think his business ventures failed him, and then he was essentially homeless for a period of time before like one of the rulers of a country said like, no, this guy invented the Red Cross, and then like gave him a stipend and said like live a good life. And he said, nah, I'm good.
$50 a year.
$50. Yeah, but he denied it.
$50 whole dollars, Mr. Scrooge.
One of the quotes is that he said, "Bury me carry me like a dog to my burial." I think that was the quote. So he just said like, treat me like anybody else. Like I didn't do anything special, but he was like the inventor of the Geneva Convention and the Red Cross.
Interesting.
What else we cover? Getting drafted, go on the battlefield, bombs, chemicals, guns, bullets, bio warfare,
smoke and haze going off.
Prisoners of war, smoke and haze.
That was part of it.
Terraforming, silver nitrate, rain, mustard gas, Agent Orange, drones, robot warfare. How is a robot going to tell?
I almost brought that up when we talked about the 9 things outlawed. We never said cyborgs were outlawed. Next step.
How is the cyborg going to know? Has to be robocopy to like.
Did you hear about the guys who were using, these are wrong terms, not wormhole, like a Windows error worm in
backdoor?
Yeah, backdoor issue that went to Afghanistan because they were trying to get their nuclear program up and running. And they were like, it's not a virus, but like a backdoor error that would keep messing with
security hole.
Yeah, and they were single-handedly responsible for like 2 years worth of issues that I think it was Afghanistan. You have to look up the article. One of the countries that's not supposed to have nukes, they were secretly building it, secretly having stuff on site.
But they didn't know about
computers. Kept getting screwed up because American hackers were like sending them these weird wormholes that were messing with their windows and their others,
changing their blueprints and like modifying their units.
Yes, exactly.
I could see that happening. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I think it was probably like Pakistan, because Pakistan's always like, we don't have anything.
Could have been Pakistan. Yeah, we don't have anything, but maybe we do.
I think that does cover it.
I think it covers everything. Incredible. We literally talked about everything POW related, everything about soldiers, everything about combat, everything about the rules of combat, everything about what's a rule and what's not a rule. What's not a rule?
What's not a rule?
What's not a rule? What's a not a rule?
It's feed POWs. You can't kill them, starve them, take care of them, sort of, I guess. Whatever the minimum is. I don't know what the minimum is. Oh, we didn't cover dog tags. The invention of dog tags. Dog tags actually have like your blood type on them. They tell you who you are. I don't know if they tell you rank or not, but like if you get caught, you're supposed to like say your rank and who you are, just to like, I guess you're a bargaining chip, but you're not allowed to lie. But it's kind of an interesting thing that you go to war and you have this tag on you that says like, hey, you can save me if you choose, like whoever finds me. It's a weird kind of I want to say like not brotherly love. That's not the Philadelphia thing. All those Philadelphians, but it's kind of like chivalrous. Is that chivalrous? Where if you go to battle, you honor the other person. Chivalry is more like man to woman, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's more honor code.
The medieval knightly system of its religious, moral, and social code. So it's like, yeah, there's a nobility to it. To like, if you honor the other warrior, you respect that you can save his life. Like he is now not capable of fighting, but you have the dog tag that prove who he is, what he needs, and like he can go back to wherever he came from, even if he can't like tell you who he is, or if he dies, like his body. I don't know if does the Geneva Convention cover bodies.
Dead body does not have to be returned? No, I don't know.
Geneva Convention, dead bodies. You can't mutilate dead bodies.
But you can keep them?
No, every effort is made to identify dead persons, inform their families, and return their bodies to them.
You got to return them? That costs money.
Shipping and handling.
Shipping and handling.
Charge the country.
Unless you got Amazon Prime. This stuff ain't just happening overnight, you know? Folks, thanks for tuning in tonight. We learned a little bit about POWs, a little bit about audrey, dunant. We learned a little bit about protocol. All
napalm,
the Geneva Conventions,
nerve agents,
GCs,
we got
GC1,
nettle agents,
GC2,
mustard
GC3,
gas.
GC4.
Don't shoot your parachuters.
We learned about all
fight in the air.
195 countries.
Moonraker.
We learned about the weapons that were banned.
Rules of engagement.
A little bit about the weapons inside of our hearts. Okay? So, I know this is crazy, but we like you folks. We like you a lot. And thanks for tuning in. As a side note, check our socials. Check. Donate. And that'd be great.
Whatever you like. It's up to you.